Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about a tiny, kinda infamous part of your anatomy. For generations, this little organ has been written off as a totally useless evolutionary leftover. Basically, people thought of it as a biological ticking time bomb that only really exists to occasionally rupture and completely ruin your week. But as you'll see, the newest medical research tells a radically different story. So let's jump right in.
So what does your appendix actually do? It's a question almost everyone has asked at some point, right? Usually right after hearing about a friend who had to rush to the hospital to get theirs taken out. If you asked a doctor a few decades ago, they probably would have just shrugged and said, it doesn't do much of anything. But today, we're going on a bit of a myth-busting journey because the scientific consensus has totally shifted, and the truth is honestly far more fascinating than we ever realized.
For over a century, the medical world labeled the appendix as a vestigial organ. That basically means it was widely considered a useless remnant from our distant evolutionary ancestors, something that had completely lost all of its original function over thousands of years. It was treated as a biological dead end. But modern research paints a totally different picture now. Science firmly shows that your appendix is actually an active, important organ for your overall health. In fact, it plays a massive role in your early life, especially during childhood, when your immune system is just booting up and desperately learning how to protect you from the outside world. Section 1. Anatomy and size. To really appreciate what this thing does, we first kind of need to understand its physical setup. The appendix is a small, tube-shaped pouch attached directly to your cecum, which is the exact spot where your small intestine meets your large intestine, tucked right away in the lower right side of your abdomen. It's surprisingly small, usually only about 3 to 4 inches long. So if you want a mental image, it's roughly the length of your middle finger. But definitely don't let its miniature size fool you into thinking it's simple. Despite being just a few inches long, it's actually made up of 4 distinct, highly functional layers that work together perfectly. Starting from the inside, you've got the mucosa. That's the innermost lining acting as the primary point of contact for anything entering the tube. Right beneath that is the submucosa, which is basically a biological barracks packed full of lymphoid tissue and immune cells waiting to be deployed. Then comes the muscularis propria. This is an actual layer of muscle that contracts to keep things moving so contents don't stagnate and block that narrow little passage. And finally, the serosa acts as the tough outer protective layer, sealing the whole thing up. It is a highly specialized piece of biological machinery. Section 2. Your gut's safe house. Okay, so now that we know how it's built, let's look at exactly what this misunderstood organ is doing for you every single day. The appendix actually has 3 main jobs to keep you healthy. First is its active partnership with your immune system. Those layers we just talked about, they contain B cells and T cells. Think of them like a microscopic intelligence agency. They are constantly sampling the microbes passing through your gut, helping your body fight off germs, produce targeted antibodies, and crucially, learn which bacteria are your allies and which ones will make you sick. Second, it acts as a deep storage vault for beneficial bacteria. And third, it meticulously maintains your microbiome balance, actively stopping harmful microbes from taking over your digestive system. I really want to lean into this safe house metaphor for a second because it is honestly the absolute easiest way to understand the appendix's greatest superpower. Imagine you get hit with a terrible stomach bug or you get severe food poisoning, and your digestive system is, entirely flushed out. You lose a massive amount of your good, healthy gut bacteria in that traumatic process. Your appendix serves as a literal, fortified, safe house where healthy bacteria hide out deep inside those mucosa layers while you're sick. Once the danger passes and your stomach settles, the appendix releases those good bacteria back into your intestines to rapidly repopulate your gut and get your digestion back on track. It is literally your body's built-in backup drive. Section 3. When things go wrong. Now, as amazing as the appendix is, it's not invincible. And when the system breaks down, things get serious fast. Have you ever heard of an appendiculus? It is a hard, stone-like lump made up of small pieces of feces and calcified minerals that clump together directly inside the appendix. I know it sounds a little gross, but biologically it's fascinating. Because the appendix is such a tiny, narrow tube, we're talking maybe a 1/4 inch wide, an appendiculus can easily get wedged in there and block it up entirely. This completely wrecks the local microbiome, trapping bacteria inside and triggering a massive cascade of rapid inflammation. And that sudden blockage, that leads straight to the most common disorder you'll hear about with this organ, appendicitis. Make absolutely no mistake. Appendicitis is a critical medical emergency. The trapped infection causes the walls of the appendix to swell incredibly fast. If you leave it untreated, the internal pressure just keeps building and building until the appendix literally bursts, spilling highly infectious material directly into your open abdominal cavity. To prevent that catastrophic, life-threatening scenario, doctors have to perform immediate surgery, an appendectomy, to remove the inflamed organ before it pops. Because a rupture is so incredibly dangerous, knowing the early warning signs could literally save a life. The giant red flag to watch out for is a sharp, escalating pain specifically localized in your lower right belly, often starting right around the belly button and then shifting downward. This intense pain almost always comes with a whole lot of nausea and vomiting, a sudden fever, extreme tenderness if you gently press on the lower right abdomen, noticeable changes in your bathroom habits, or just an abrupt, total loss of appetite. If you or someone you love experiences this combo of symptoms, do not just try to sleep it off. Seek medical attention immediately. Section 4. Caring for your gut guardian. Thankfully, appendicitis is not some inevitable fate for most of us. Keeping your appendix healthy basically just comes down to taking actionable, everyday steps to protect your overall gut microbiome. Drink plenty of water to keep your digestion moving and prevent those blockages we talked about. Eat a high-fiber diet, because fiber is the absolute best fuel source for your good bacteria. Try adding probiotic foods like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut to constantly send good reinforcements into your gut. Limit processed foods and excess sugar, which can actively feed harmful bacteria and throw everything out of whack. Get some exercise, manage your daily stress, and, perhaps most crucially, avoid taking unnecessary antibiotics. Antibiotics can act like a biological carpet bomb, wiping out the exact colonies of helpful bacteria your appendix works so hard to protect. Section 5. Life without an appendix. Now, all this talk about how wonderful the appendix is naturally brings up a major, super practical question for the millions of people who have already had theirs taken out. What does life actually look like without an appendix? Well, to be completely transparent with the newest medical data, losing it isn't entirely without consequence. Removing the appendix does cause a statistically small increase in the risk of developing certain gut infections, like C. diff, or other immune-related conditions over time. This happens because, without that biological safe house, your body simply has a slightly smaller reserve of good bacteria ready to deploy when your gut is under attack. But before anyone panics, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. We end on this incredible paradox. If your appendix is this amazing immune powerhouse and this vital bacterial safe house, why are people perfectly fine, living long, completely healthy lives after it's removed? The answer is a pure testament to the absolute marvel of human biology. Your body adjusts. The rest of your gut, your microbiome, and your broader immune system simply adapt, shift gears, and step right up to make up for the loss, ensuring you stay strong and resilient. It leaves us with a pretty profound thought. If a tiny 3-inch organ we once thought was completely useless is actually working this hard to protect us, what other hidden systems is your body constantly running behind the scenes just to keep you alive? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep marveling at the science inside you.